Hey guys, Steve here again, and welcome back to my channel, Enviado Global. 2025 is just a few days away, and I want to pose this question to you. When it comes to resolution and goals, have you thought about resolutions and goals that would help you cross an aisle to engage with someone who's radically different from you? And what kind of goals or resolutions do you need to actually do that? And why am I bringing this up? Well, first of all, I think as a Christian speaking to probably largely a Christian audience, I believe it's necessary to be able to be salt and light and to be the Good Samaritan. That's actually a great example of crossing an aisle with someone you're not friends with and someone you don't like or think they're radically different from you. So there's a biblical event there that happened that can translate to our lives. But just in general, I mean, this could be true for anyone. It doesn't have to be just for Christians. But have you thought about what it would take to be able to bridge the divide between people who think differently, believe differently, view differently than you? And are you willing to do it? Because I can tell you what, the times I've done it, it has been well worth it. In fact, my time living in China helped me do that. So what are these goals? I only came up with 3, and believe me, there's a lot more. And honestly, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. All you need to do, let me know what you think about the 3 I'm going to share, but also share what maybe goals or resolutions you have and why. I mean, why do you have them? We need a purpose behind them. It's not just, hey, I want to do this. Well, what's the purpose of whatever that is? But as far as this video is concerned, here are 3 things that I've come up with that could help you and me divide those barriers between me and people that are considered my enemy or my opposition or fill in the blank, whatever you want to call it. Just people not in my tribe, people who are different from me, and the same goes for you. So the first one being empathy. I mean, honestly, empathy is probably a prerequisite to even be able to do any of this. I mean, if you can't empathize with someone, you can't really care for them. I mean, I guess you could serve them without empathizing them, but that only goes so far. I mean, usually when you're done helping someone or serving someone in need and you don't really empathize, I mean, you just kind of check a box and move on. I mean, it's easy to empathize with, it's easier, I'll say easier, to empathize with people that are in our tribe, that we love, we like, that are like us, but it's far more difficult to do it with people that we don't like, or people we think are invaders, or enemies, or opposition, especially to deal with the political system, and of course what's happening on the U.S.-Mexico border, and just thinking about maybe religious, just strong religious differences, and how some people look at the other religious groups and view them as enemies. And so if you want to be able to cross that line, cross that barrier, or bridge that gap between you and someone else that's radically different from you, I do think and believe empathy is a prerequisite. Otherwise, your care and concerns are really only going to go so far. But if you can work on that and build on that and figure out how to instill that more and more in your life, it's going to be a lot easier to bridge those gaps with people who think differently from you. And this is not about changing who you are or changing your beliefs. It's merely about connecting with people, learning about people, and understanding people and where they come from. Because when we do that, it's amazing what good that does to the overall community, whether it be community of our local community, state community, provincial community, national community, whatever. It goes a long way. The second thing, learn a language or begin to tackle a language. It doesn't mean you have to become fluent, believe me, because part of my day job is I interact with these Hispanics in South Texas at a certain school periodically, not full time, but just periodically. And so I was struggling with whether or not I was being accepted or not, and was my time really valuable in going there? Well, I learned on that trip it absolutely was valuable. And in fact, I had that conversation with one of my translators. He said, you know what? He just said it. We love having you here. We know you don't speak Spanish, but you're married to a Hispanic. You You empathize with our people and our general people, referring to Hispanics, even though where I go to, they come from a dozen different Spanish-speaking countries. But because of your connection with married to a Hispanic, because you try to understand our culture, which is probably stronger than learning the language, they had open arms for me. And in fact, some of them have traveled with me. Some are going to travel with me this next year. And I'm going to be around a lot of them later this year or next year. And so learning the language, and I'll add a caveat to that, learning the culture. Okay, so if you want to bridge a gap with a group of people that you are not like, whether they speak English or not, try to learn some of the language, even if it's just basic. But even more than that, learn the culture. So maybe I should flip number 2 to more of a cultural thing with Spanish as an add-on. There you go. Number 3. In all of our local communities, we have groups of people who are vastly different from us. We are not a homogenous society in the U.S. Now, there may be homogenous tribal groups within our country. That is true, and we're all part of something like that. But outside of that, no matter how big, now there may be smaller communities that are more homogenous than others. Where I live is probably the smallest place I've ever lived in the world. Originally being from the Dallas Metroplex, lived most of my life there, going to China, and now I'm in a small place. It's small for me, but it's not homogenous in any sense of the word. There, and especially in the last 5 years, it has the diversity has grown exponentially, with a lot of people from India and other parts of the world coming in. And so this third one, sorry, that was a long explanation of this. This third one is find a charity, find a nonprofit, find a ministry if you're a Christian or something like that that's out in the community, working with people vastly different from you, people who need people to come in and not fix their problem, not become their savior, but merely to kind of give them a hand up in their situation and just serve. It's easy, again, to serve people who are like us. Much, much easier to do that. It's more difficult to serve those who are different from us because we become afraid. It's the fear of the unknown of, how do I interact with them? What can I say or not say? Am I going to say something wrong? Or, there's probably 1,000,001 things we could think of that would prevent us from, let's say going down to a homeless shelter or going down to a soup kitchen or going into a neighborhood that doesn't look like us or whatever it is. I would encourage you to find a charity, a nonprofit, an NGO, something, wherever you're at in this world, and find ways to serve people. And in the context of what I'm talking about, find a way to serve people who are different from you. And doing it with a charity is going to be extremely helpful because they can help educate you and teach you and help you know what to do and what not to do. So anyways, these 3 things, again, please in the comment section, let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts of what your goals and resolutions are that may be vastly different from mine and why, if you're willing to share that, because there needs to be a why for us to really pursue them. Otherwise, we'll probably let them go anyways and not do them. So anyways, just to recap on the 3, empathy, culture, actually I said language, but culture with an add-on of language, and then serving in some kind of charity or something that can help people in your community. Not just a one-time thing where you check a box, but on an ongoing basis. Anyways, thank you for watching my new channel this year. I look forward to 2025 and what's going to happen and the content I'm going to bring. But until then, I'll see you next year.